Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Career Evangelist podcast. We have another awesome guest with us today. She is a Maxwell Leadership Faculty member, one of only 20 worldwide, a former CEO recognized by the governor of Georgia, the first woman to chair the board of Sir Familia, and the powerhouse behind Harnomics, a framework helping leaders at every level lead with clarity, purpose, and heart. Today, she's bringing all of that energy to your career. And with that, welcome to the show, Hannah. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much for having me. A real pleasure to be here with you.
It's awesome. I'm happy to have you join us. So let's go back to the very beginning, Hannah. What was the defining moment for you that set your career on the path that it's on today?
Oof, okay, career-wise, when I
Yeah.
was totally failing, I would say, when I had some very dear people, key leaders in my organization that were leaving, and not because they were going for what seemed like a better pay, but because it was too stressful, the situation for them. So actually, that for me was a defining moment where like something had to change. And it wasn't just going to take personal development, but it was going to take a culture change that I later became to know that. So that was a defining moment for me, where it wasn't just depending on my own self-improvement, uh, but something I had to deposit into the culture.
That's good. Oh, so Anna, tell me what is it about being a faculty member of Maxwell Leadership Institute?
Well, honestly, for me, I find it very privileged because I wasn't something that you apply for, it's something that you get invited to. And there's many coaches, a certified team. I actually joined in 2017 as a certified member and really looking again. It was one of my, I think with every time I've taken a step, it's always been looking for that solution for a current problem. And what was that problem? I needed to make a business. I needed to support my family. And I was like, hey, and I loved serving in leadership. So it just seemed like a perfect fit. And as I went along in the journey, I kept on showing up and delivering and showing up and delivering, taking chances with things like speaking publicly in the stage time and serving. And an opportunity came for me to be able to serve with the tech aspect of Maxwell, and then it opened up opportunities now to where I serve in the personal development lane and the business lane. I'm actually getting ready to do a business call after this with the Maxwell team. So it's been both a self-growth, growing in my business for Maxwell, and also being able to be part of the community because that's a big deal. I remember when we first started. I mean, like you get on a phone call. I'm like, how in the world do people get to know each other? Because we're all in this call, this conference call. How do you even make any connection? And I was super, I would say not necessarily shy. I was more like I was taken back because I was going through a lot. Like I said, I'm trying to figure things. I'm trying to figure out a business. I'm trying to figure out how to really serve people well. So I had so many questions, and I just didn't want to sound like I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I have been CEO for in the past, and I had served in the board. So I mean, I had all these things in my head, and then I learned in through that. It's like if it's all that's all in my head, then I'm not really looking to serve people. I had to switch my mindset. When I switched my mindset in the leadership, in the Maxwell leadership, where it wasn't about what I was, how I'm gonna get to that next part and really how am I gonna best serve, then things started shifting for me. And I really was able to be a sponge to what the team brought and be able to now give that back to all the members that we have in the team.
So, in my opinion, I'll say the leadership Maxwell team, you guys are doing an amazing job impacting people worldwide. There is hardly anyone in this leadership space that wouldn't have maybe read a book or two by Maxwell. I'm sure of
True.
that. So, to you, and I want to hear why is leadership important to you? Why are you in this space? Why do you think it's necessary for you to help more people lead with clarity, with purpose and heart?
Oh my goodness. Okay. So we can start with what our mentor Maxwell says that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And we're talking about being influential in a world that's constantly changing to talk about decisions that are going to be serving for all. You do need influence. So growing in leadership is one. But the other part is he also says that everything rises and falls in leadership. So we also have a responsibility with that, not only when we get to places of decision making, but also on our daily basis, what we see in our lives, from every aspect, from the personal aspect, the financial aspect, relationship aspect. Again, everything rises and falls on leadership. So that's even the leadership in those areas. So I believe it's key right now, especially in a time of where we feel uncertain, where there's a disconnect, not only internally, but even we feel disconnected many times externally with things that are changing, to be consistent in our leadership, because that's really going to determine how we rise and fall, not only in our personal decisions, but also in the community, what we're doing for our communities, for what we're doing for our businesses. One of the things that I completely changed my life, I would say, with the Maxwell team was when I went on my first transformation trip, and that was to the Dominican Republic. And I think any one of us thinks like, oh, okay, changing a habit is already can be scary, and then like, okay, then you do it, and then you change. Well, let's change organization, which is fun, right? Or culture, and you're changing a group habits, and like, well, at my organization, how can we impact the community? You go to the community, but then in this case, it was an entire country. So I think the thought of it like both fascinated me, stumped me, like how in the world, and it completely not only a challenge, it was scary, and I'm like, yeah, sign me up. So let's do it. It takes like that's that level of crazy. I think that level of like, hey, I'm gonna go and really not only impact the teams that are gonna be part of it, but it really is gonna be part of a legacy in the country. And that for me, that was a pivotal moment in the Maxwell team when I got to see my mentor work just as hard, if not harder, what he imparted in us, launching us into all parts of the country, and really seeing the process of teaching people and serving people in values-based leadership, how not only it created that immediate change around the table with the facilitation that we were doing, but later on, hearing the stories a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, seeing the impact of what we did at that point with leadership, what's the impact that it's having in schools, the impact that it's having in government, the way that they look at their laws, and even the overall momentum that the country's having. For me, that spoke and changed me in more ways than I can say. I think always when you go and serve somewhere, you think you're really going to impact somewhere else, and then you're the one who's impacted the most. And that's how I felt, like, because I came back and I'm like, everything just looked differently when I looked at leadership, when I really looked at it as making that space and seeing the different areas when leaders do really come to the table, and when we do take the time to listen to one another, the solutions, the connections that come from that, it really does make us better.
Oh, that's so good, Hannah. And as you were talking about this, I was thinking about John Maxwell. I've read many of his books, by the way. So I'm going to ask you, how does it feel like working directly with him? And how has that experience shaped your own business journey?
Oh, well, one of the things is because he says a leader does not just knows the way, guides the way, but shows the way. And when you see that the man on stage is the same man off stage, it makes an impact. It makes a difference. Because you're seeing that this is not just something that he does or something that he says. It's really who he is and what he believes in. And again, I can't think of a better example than being on those transformation trips. I thought I was tired. He can outwork any one of us any single day, any time. I mean, by the time we were having breakfast, I think he had already had 3 interviews, and I was exhausted. It was like 7 a.m. And after that, he was going on a helicopter over to the other side of the country to go and prepare the way for us to go. I mean, it was just to me almost like insane the way that he worked, the focus, the really how committed he was. So It checked me on my work ethic, one thing. It checked me also in the attitude that I'm like, okay, if he can do it, like, what am I talking about? And really, I think for me, there comes a responsibility also with carrying the Maxwell, representing the Maxwell team, knowing that I wanted to represent well, and also seeing what he was doing with paving the way, that I also raised up myself. I leveled up to that opportunity and represented well as I'm going forward with him, with the rest of the team, the people that would come alongside to again lead well because I'm being led well. And that's one of the things that we say in the Maxwell team is everyone deserves to be led well. So both inspiring and challenging and really encouraging to walk side and be able to be part of that vision.
I love what you said right there. Everyone deserves to be led well, and I totally agree with that. So let's talk about economics. What does
Yeah.
that mean, and why did you feel that business today is missing this economics?
Ooh, okay. So Harnomics is the economy of the heart, is what really, if you notice, it's two words together. And heart being the love, the people that we serve, that we do work with, and nomics, the systems and the processes that come along with that. So for me, the Harnomics together is the leadership that it takes to both be in this economy of really what is the heart, right? I mean, we do business with who we like, know, and trust. Every exchange that we enter, every relationship. So there's an economy of the heart. There is an emotional intelligence aspect of it. There is a process and systems aspect of it, right? I mean, it's great that we connect, but if I don't get your contact information and I don't have a way to keep your phone number and your email, then that's not going to work. I can connect with people all day long. And if I don't have a way to manage that, I'm not going to serve them well. So it's going to take both the ability to be able to connect, but also the way that how do I manage, how do I serve them well with my products, my services, both as it could be a nonprofit or a for-profit corporation. So this really came from my journey battling a heart disease as a kid. I was in the age of 4. And Harnomics came to reality when I heard 20 years later, it's a 20-year anniversary, they were doing a documentary on the hospital and they were also showcasing my innovative surgery. And that's when I heard the doctor say a couple of things. One, that they were asking him, well, what was going through your mind when you were doing this surgery? He was saying, well, we were just trying to keep her alive long enough for technology to catch up. Because there was no cure in sight. So I have been battling with this now for 10 years, and that's when it hit me. What was keeping me alive long enough? Love. Love kept me alive long enough. Everything that comes with love, the hope, the resilience, the perseverance, all of these other parts. But for technology to catch up, how did technology catch up? Well, it cut off through failures. It cut off through catching those failures. And there were a lot of failure points in my story, both medically, through drugs, a lot of things that, trying to fix the heart problem. But the ability that this team had to be able to catch them and try again. So for me, that was the coming together of what Harnomics was in my own story. But outside of that, in learning not only the love and the excellence part, was really, well, how do I bring those lessons that came from there in a very painful part of my life? I mean, I was not able to breathe many times. It was very painful to have even my heartbeat. I mean, as a kid, I didn't understand all these things. It was uncertain. It was painful. I lived a long time in the hospital for a period of 5 years. And there were many things I wasn't able to do. So I had to fight that. It came to a period in my teenage years where I had to draw the line of, am I going to be a victim or a victor? Am I going to let this define me, or I'm going to let it to be part of what I define life to be? And that's where a lot of my frameworks come. That's where the framework, heart framework comes in. That's where my method comes in. Because there's a lot that really impacted me as I went through this very painful part. I went through 2 heart attacks. I wasn't allowed to go to school. The liability was too big. And still, I making a point to learn, even when the experts were telling me I did not have the capacity of learning because I was not getting oxygen to my brain in a regular basis. So those are all things that both require not only a decision, but also the alignment with who I believed, even at a young age. I was made for my purpose, what I wanted out of life. Didn't know how long it would last, but neither do any one of us, right? So, it was just making that part and then going forward. And leadership honestly gave me that pathway. It gave me that pathway to continue to not to bring together the broken pieces because you really can't. You wouldn't even know how to start with the broken pieces, but really be open to the transformation that comes from service, the transformation that comes from embracing everything that has brought us to where we're at, and the lessons that come from it, which is what gave birth to Harnomics.
Oh, Hannah, that's so inspiring. Thank you for sharing your story of hope, of perseverance, of resilience. I truly appreciate you telling us all this story. And one thing that I want to also double click on, maybe we should go and talk about your book. You have a book, right?
Yeah,
And
yes.
I'm glad you are inspiring the world, you are motivating people, you are helping people with leadership. So tell us about your book. What is it about? What can my listeners hope to gain from reading your book?
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for asking. The name of my book is Hustle with Heart. So
Okay.
it goes right away with heart. But
Yeah.
heart is the framework, yes. And that is for hope, empowerment, results, accountability, results, and trust. So those are values-based leadership. But I understand, and even like the same thing for me. So, well, how do I grow with hope? Like, okay, I know I need to be hopeful, but how does that look like? How do I actually be intentional in being hopeful? How do I actually grow in empowerment? I understand I need to be empowered, but how do I do that? Or how do I transfer that? So that's where the book came in. And it's actually this, it's a little book. It's a little, like a tip book. It's 52 mini shifts.
Awesome.
I made them mini shifts because this was actually born out of the hospital bed.
Oh.
As a teenager, there was not much I could do. I lived bound to a bed, but there were things I needed to do in
Mhm.
order to be able to get out from that bed and not just get out, but really thrive and embrace all that life had for me. So that's what the beat method is about. It's about alignment. It's about being able to grow in that hope, that empowerment. And this is a very tactical book. It's meant to just be short pieces. I'm a mom of five. So time management is it's happening even when I don't want it to happen all the time. But I needed to be able to grab those bite pieces, basically those breaths. And that was the same thing that happened when I was going through my heart disease, right? It was just like the times that I was able to breathe in the middle of the pain, in the middle of just whatever episode I was going through, it would still be able to grab that as an opportunity to bring more life into me. So that's what this book is about. It's a tactical aspect. And I would love for anybody who is looking to grow in those areas to grab a copy.
Oh, that's so good. Thank you very much for sharing. So, Hannah, being recognized by the governor of Georgia, to me, that's a big deal. What did that recognition, what did it mean to you for your career and for your mission in this
Okay,
space?
yeah, well, that was huge. One, because it came out of really a disruption. We were disrupted back in as an industry in 2009, 2010 in the educational publishing part. And that was basically this thing called ebooks was coming into play when we didn't know, neither did the industry know what this looked like. So for a manufacturing facility that was 99% print, that was not a welcomed change. There were standards that changed really quick. And there was the budget freezes that happened with the government because of the housing. There was the Great Recession. So for us, we had to learn to innovate in a place where there were dwindling income, dwindling money, even things that we didn't know how are we going to make this change? So, unfortunately, that story of being a manufacturer of the year, the small business, it started because we had to do a lot of layoffs. We didn't know what to do. We couldn't, it wasn't sustainable. Very much kind of like how companies are going through it now, with the rise of AI, with the rise of many things. So, as we were going through, this is where my Lean Six Sigma came in. So Lean Six Sigma was a methodology, that part, and I realized that we only had certain amount of money that we had to reinvest.
Yeah.
So that's where it came. We actually partnered up with the technology colleges. We partner up internally, and we were able to turn the company around from a company that started having layoffs to a company that actually was able to hire well. And that's where the recognition came from the manufacturer of the year.
That's so good. I hear you talk about Lean Six Sigma. I also know,
Yeah.
too about Lean Six Sigma. So that's
Oh,
good.
yeah.
Oh, yes, I do. It's good that you are mentioning that. Also, you were the first woman to chair the board of Familia. And I've heard about, all these glass ceiling for women. Uh,
Yeah.
what does did this accomplishment, what did that open to you? And maybe you can also tell us what walls did you break in the process?
Yeah, well, I didn't even know that I was gonna be the first one because it was the executive director who told me. At that point, I think we had been the organization in place about 18 years.
Oh,
So now the executive director is a female. So I didn't really think like, oh, well, wasn't there somebody in board of directors? So that when the opportunity came and she's the one who announced it, I'm like, oh, how cool is that? But I think what came was the opportunity in, first of all, a lot of times women don't get the best rep of working together. So I think that was one of the things, that the fact that we were able to work together well. But the other part is not only bringing in the what she really needed was the support aspect, and having been able to walk. I had served as an executive director before. I had served as a CEO before. So I believe one of the things that really came into alignment there is understanding me not being in a position of executive director or CEO, understanding what are the support systems that needed to happen so that she can be all that she needed to be. And that was really where I became an advocate, basically an interpreter for what she needed, that the board needed to become so that they can best support her. So that's really the role that I was able to serve in becoming the governance aspect of the organization. It really putting those pieces into play, not just in name, but in functionality. And there is a difference to where you can have and name a lot of things, but we're not really working in that way. And I really am grateful that she trusted me for that time and being able to create those charters, the committees, the putting metrics to what we need to do, the governance aspect to being in a board of directors. It's a Anchor organization is the largest organization actually for mental health services in the Southeast US that is serving a lot. I mean, it's taken an immense growth. And really, I will give credit to our visionary executive director, who's not only stepped in, but also the people that are coming alongside of her, especially in the board of directors. It really does tell you the synergy that needs to be there for governance so that the executive director can do what she needed to do, because from that moment it's grown 10x from that time. So it's been an incredible story. One of the things that attracted me about the organization was how she used the word transformation, not just a transactional thing,
mhm.
but really transformation that takes time.
Yeah, it
So
does.
it takes about 2 or 3 years really staying in that. So that's why we have a group of committed people to transformation.
That's so good. So we are talking about vision. So what's next for Atnomics? Where are you taking it in the next 3 years, so to say?
Well, Harnomics is a leadership operating system. So where I'm taking it is I want to see more organizations taking on Harnomics as their leadership way, again, to be able to operate, to have the functions of the leader. They're the message. So I'm doing this. I'm about to launch my digital course that helps not only the individual growth, which is what I do with Hustle with Heart, but also the organizational aspect to be able to expand. As a leadership operating system, we think a lot about, all the stuff with the different apps and different things, for technology, but we're not really looking at the human-centric side of how this works. So my goal is to help leaders understand both the systematic way of the how organizations run, but also with like Lean Six Sigma, since you understand, we look very meticulously at the process and we look specifically at a waste that we call the waste of human potential. So my goal with Hardomics is to reduce the waste of human potential by being able to implement a leadership organizational system that both is based in love and based in excellence.
So good. So as we are wrapping it, Hannah, if you could give your younger self one's career strategy, what would it be?
Ooh, alignment.
Alignment.
Alignment. Because there's times that are going to require you to go 100 miles per hour, but you can't go 100 miles per hour all the time. There's times where you also just as good as you're going all the way. You need to know how to slow down. You need to know how to like stop. If you're not aligned, if
Yeah.
you ever try in a car when you're going fast, your car starts wobbling, eventually can break. And even if you slow down, that wobble just feels even bigger if you're not in alignment. So, uh, when you're aligning, I would say for my leaders right now, in a time when things may seem nebulous, or things may seem I don't quite yet know where do I fit in. I want to serve my people in that. One of the greatest things you can do is to learn again to align by looking at your purpose and seeing the fulfillment that you want to receive in the things that you do. It may look different. Like I told you, I went through disruption with my organization. Things look different. We couldn't go back to the same. We wouldn't survive if we went back to that. So I would say take the time to reset, align with your purpose, be mindful and clear in the fulfillment because that's what you get back in operating in a purpose, and learn to be able to transfer this to your people to grow and multiply in your leadership.
So good. So finally, what's the one thing that you want every listener to walk away with from this episode for them so that they can be ready for their career progression as they move forward?
Clarity and fulfillment. You gotta look at have fulfillment. Um, Sometimes we get, things foggy when we start compromising. And that compromising, really, what's eating away is not necessarily performance. It may not come as performance right away. Your performance might get better, but what comes away eventually with time is it chisels out at the fulfillment that you have in life, in every area of your life. So I would say be clear in the fulfillment that you're looking for. It's not worth compromising, especially in what we think are the small things when it comes to values, because it's not going to be sustainable. So I would say the main thing is getting clarity on that. If you're not clear on that, it's looking at it. What is that overall fulfillment? Because you can have leadership, have fun, be able to serve, do the right thing for other people, do them right, and really live out your life.
Good. Thank you very much, Hannah. You are telling us to lead with heart and win with strategy. I appreciate you coming on the show today. My listeners, they are going to find this very, very beneficial. Thank you for joining us, Hannah.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Thanks for having me.